In addition to being a delightfully memorable title, Until Dawn served as a mission statement for the characters and player. All they have to do is to survive until the sun comes up. Memorably demonstrated in the ending of Until Dawn, when the blinding sunlight comes over the mountain just after the lodge explodes. Hey, I guess this means the lodge was facing west, so people can watch gorgeous mountain sunsets and, sleep in. Despite not being direct sequels to Until Dawn, the Dark Pictures games have followed the same template created by it. Begin with a horrific event that takes place in real time or something close to it. Medan is the exception here, as its opening takes place over something along the lines of 2 weeks, although the game is super unclear about that. Then move on to the main plot of the game, the action of which will take place over a single night, ending the next morning around dawn. Each game has a different overall amount of time covered from start to finish, the longest being Man of Medan, which takes place over about 22 hours, not counting epilogues. Next are House of Ashes and Devil in Me. The first starts at 3 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. The second starts at 4 and ends at 7, meaning each of their stories takes place over about 15 hours. The shortest is, of course, Little Hope, which starts at 9:42 then ends at dawn. While we can't guess exactly when dawn is, since we don't know exactly what time of year the game is set, it's safe to say that it's somewhere between 5 and 7 a.m., meaning that the game takes place over somewhere between 7.5 and 9.5 hours. Given that the bus crash happens around 11 p.m., the game comes closer than any other to being a real-time experience. Why am I bringing this up? Simple. In addition to the stories we've played from Medan to Devil, I suspect that there's an additional story happening right under our noses. Specifically, the Curator's story that began with Medan and may well end around the 8th game in the series, whichever one that's going to be. I'm guessing Intercession. Because we see him arriving and leaving at the start and end of each game, it's reasonable to assume that the Curator's segments are taking place on different days, months, or even years. But what if that's not the case? We know that time works strangely for him. He can appear in different centuries, after all. So what if every time we've seen the Curator so far, we've been looking at him all on a single day, at least as far as his repository is concerned? What evidence am I basing this theory on? Lighting. Take a look at Man of Medan's Curator scenes. There are harsh shafts of colorless light streaming in through the windows. For the Curator, it's morning, and his office has an eastward exposure. Now let's look at Little Hope. There are shafts of light again, but notice how they barely penetrate into the room. While in Medan the light made it past the Curator's desk and almost all the way to the door, now they barely get in through the window. It's almost noon at this point in the Curator's day, an impression reinforced by the bright, sunny Rome day that's visible outside the window. In House of Ashes, the storm makes it extremely difficult to judge exactly what time of day it is, but it's still bright out, and the clouds are creating a diffuse effect, allowing the weaker gray light to shine in through the windows. So at this point, it's most likely the office is in the late afternoon or early evening. As expected, by the time The Devil in Me begins, the sun has gone down and the stars are out. We're now well into nighttime, maybe 9 or 10 o'clock. If this theory holds, then the next 2 games will be set during the darkest parts of the night. Perhaps with clear skies, maybe with a storm. Then Game 7 will likely feature the blue-gray pre-dawn light you associate with the hour before the sun comes up, and dawn will finally break just before the credits roll on Game 8. This lighting pattern, if it proves out, backs up the oft-discussed theory that the Curator is having his own dramatic overnight adventure, not too dissimilar from those that appear in his books. It starts with his minor disobedience, offering the player hints, escalates with his bosses wanting a word with him in House of Ashes, then reaches a point of no return when he interferes with Dumet's fate in The Devil in Me. What will he get up to next? We have no idea, of course. But it looks like there's a very good chance that his tale will be getting a dramatic climax just as Season 2 wraps up. I've been the Hidden Object Guru, thanks for watching. If you had a good time, please remember to like and subscribe. Any questions, comments, or suggestions for other video topics should be dropped in the comments section below the video. Giant quarry video is still on the way, so look forward to that. But until then, I'm going to say that's right, au revoir.